Hi everyone, it's Ella Whitaker, exclusive Black Status presenter with Younique and professional makeup artist. So today I would love to talk about consultations. Many people get really freaked out with the word, especially if you're a unique presenter. But guess what? You're gonna have to warm up to it. Because when you sign on as a unique presenter, you are a unique expert. When a customer is asking you questions, it's really important to know product knowledge and how to assess a situation, especially a customer, in order to give them the best advice possible. And I'm going to give you the techniques and specifically some advice on questions you need to ask and how to better assist a customer at any time. So this is going to be gold. You want to stay tuned all the way to the end. So don't go away. So let's talk about consultations. When we talk about consultations, a professional makeup artist will always do a consultation, okay? There's always a consult, no matter what the situation is. As a professional makeup artist, I've worked with a lot of brides, so I always did consultations prior to the big day, either with the bride or even the bridesmaids. If I was on set for a photo shoot or anything along those lines, I would definitely work with the director or the photographer to find out what type of scene or type of feel that they're looking for and what they're actually wanting. Now, talking with customers, there's many times that I did makeup for a customer or a client, and it would just be literally within the same sitting. But the consultation prior to the sitting and the application of the makeup, I always asked questions. And the same goes for sales of unique products. We always need to find out what the customer wants, what is their needs. Now, you may be asking people if you can give them free consultations, and that's fine, okay? They're expecting you to give them information and advice. So the best way to get the most out of your customers to know exactly what they need is by constantly asking them questions. The more questions you will ask, the better knowledge and the better you will be able to assist your customers. I promise you when I say that. So this is when you can use consultations. I'll give you perfect examples. You can do consultations during home parties. Yes, you can. Okay, when you're doing a home party, do a Makeup 101 class. And in that Makeup 101 class, you can look up different YouTube videos in order to do tips and tricks. And then you could do consultations, 5 minutes, 10 minutes with every single person, and have a seat with them, depending on the size of the group. Then you can definitely do consultations there. It's very, very easy. You don't even need to do the makeup application at that point. Seriously. You can also do consultations through face-to-face, which I always find are the best. However, technology is fantastic these days. You don't always have to rely on face-to-face. Yes, people like to try the product, but people are wanting unique products. And why? Because we're becoming a household name. We are becoming huge with the love of our fans and our customers. So you can easily do online consultations. You can even do consultations over the phone. And online consultations can even consist on Messenger, on Facebook. Actually, I do a lot on Facebook Messenger and people don't even see me face to face. But the best ones are even over Skype, over Google Hangout. You can even open up a group and do a live chat with some of your people to do consultations. That person can do a live chat and you can talk back and forth with her. But Google Hangout is a fantastic tool that you could be using, and also Skype. So what I always ask my customers is, how can we do a consultation? So if you're doing a home party, fantastic. You already know how you're going to do this consultation at a home party. If you're going to have a face-to-face consultation, even better, okay? Online consultations, you can easily do this also because you're seeing each other. So what I always say to everyone, okay, especially when they're presenters, a customer may think they know what they want, but they will not always like it, okay? So we're not only talking about foundation, we're talking about the whole big picture. I will get into foundation in a second, but let's talk about colors. Let's talk about what they're using. Let's talk about the whole big picture. Why? Because a foundation sold alone is great, but most often customers actually want more because they don't have everything else to go with that foundation. And I'm just using a foundation as an example. Even when someone wants a lipstick shade, I still go through all these questions. The reason why is because when I ask more questions, customers are more interested in what we have because they're often asking, okay, what do you have for that type of situation? Okay, so remember that. Customers may want one thing, but they don't know exactly what you have with Younique. Okay, so if you're explaining things to them and telling them the benefits of our other products and knowing exactly what their needs are, you will be better able to assist them with a full consultation. And guess what? If you do a consultation, not only a color match for a foundation, you will definitely upsell that entire consultation. 9 times out of 10, I have people taking at least 3 to 4 products or a whole collection. That is the way to upsell. My average sales are not small sales. They're usually over $100 because I'm actually selling and I'm talking to my customers and exactly what their needs are. And so I am approaching this on a totally different level. So consultations can be extremely powerful in every which way you think about it. So you think you can't do it, and you may think that you're not a professional makeup artist, but you definitely can do a consultation very, very easily and identifying what your customer needs by just the questions that you're asking. And then you'll be able better to look at and say, wow, okay, she needs things like this and in these colors. Very easy. And then you can say, okay, after the consultation, whether it's online, you can do it right there, or you can say it a little bit after, and you can say, listen, I have all your information, and I'm going to come up with a whole color scheme and all the products that I suggest that you either purchase or try. Now, if you're going to become really good at this, which I do right away, I always say, okay, bam, you need this, 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 and this. This is what I highly suggest for you after our consultation, and I will give you the information, all the questions in a second. But after that consultation, I can easily say, okay, if you love this, this, and this is what you wear, these are the suggestions I have in these colors. You're thinking, wow, I don't think I'm going to be able to do that, but I'm telling you, you can. So, like I said, customers think that they know what they want, but usually they don't know. They don't know what they like. They try to get out of their comfort zone, but sometimes customers will be like, whoa. For instance, I will give you an example. You have a person that doesn't usually wear makeup. She doesn't really get outside of her comfort zone. She may wear neutral palettes and that's it. Now, if a customer like that was coming up to me and coming to sit in my chair as I'm doing a makeup application, and she says she wants a dramatic smoky eye, I'm going to look at this customer and client and I'm going to say, okay, are you absolutely sure? And she's going to be like, yes. And then once I ask her these questions and we start talking about these things, I don't go into a drastic smoky eye. I would do an in-between, a compromise. Something that's not too drastic, but something that will give an illusion of a smoky eye. Now, how does this apply to our products? Well, good point. If someone is a neutral person, and we're talking about eyeshadow palettes like palette 1, palette 2, and palette 3, and they usually would feel out colors like a palette 1, then you wouldn't normally give them a palette 2, which is the smoky eyes. Get what I'm getting at? Now, if they've already tried the color palette 1, okay, and they already have that, and they want to go a step further the next time, then definitely I would go with a palette 2. Or even a palette 3. Palette 3 is my favorite. So do you get what I'm getting with this? So here are the questions that I usually ask my customers when they're sitting in front of me, okay? So I'm looking at my sheets right here because I want to do this really well. So, I always ask my customers, what is your daily routine, your daily makeup routine? Okay? And sometimes they will get into skincare, and that's fine. If they don't get into skincare, then I always ask skincare in a separate question. I always want to find out every single detail of what they're actually wearing. Now, if you have a home party or a face-to-face, have your customers and those people in that online party to bring all of the products with them. Say, listen, if we're going to have this wine and dine night or makeup 101 class, bring all the things that you use for makeup and all your tools, all the things that you use to put on your makeup and all the makeup you use. I'm getting somewhere with this. If it's online, you want them to even show you or even tell you all the products they're using. The reason why you want to know this is because if they only use mascara and lipstick, this person is a newbie. They won't know all the fine details of foundations and everything. So you will know the extent of what you need to do in this consultation, whether or not they're going to need all these products. And as you do consultations, you will get better at them. I swear you will. Consultations can vary person to person. And if you try consultations 1, 2, or 3, you will get better as you go along. So I always ask them, what is your makeup routine? And then I'll say, okay, show me your products. What do you use on a daily basis? If you go and they have a job every single day, what do you use to go to work? What is their skincare routine? What type of products do they use? Okay? One thing about skincare, and I'll get into skincare really quick. Skincare can really determine how a makeup application is. If someone is usually really dry, it could be because they're not using the proper skincare, or they may not be using skincare at all. Okay? If a person is a combination skin or whatever, okay? A person really does need a good cleanser, a toner, a moisturizer, and of course our eye serum. Now these things are great routines for makeup because the way you take care of your skin, especially as we get older, will determine how your makeup application will be. If your face is very dry and you don't do an exfoliant, for instance, coffee grains are very, very good, very natural, awesome, okay? You can use coffee grains and other type of exfoliants, very, very natural. And if you use that prior to using a makeup application, then you will not have any dead skin cells on there, and the foundation and the primer, when you put it on, will look smooth and flawless. You won't see any dry spots. So that's why I like asking what people use as skincare, because it will really make a difference on how they apply makeup. It really does make a difference. So I asked them what their skincare is, and guess what? Younique has fantastic skincare, and I hope Younique comes out with even more skincare. Wouldn't that be awesome? So skincare is very, very important. It will also determine whether, like I said, if they're really oily, dry, and ask them, what type of skin type do you find yourself? Do you find that you're usually a little bit more drier in seasons? Are you dry all the time? Are you oily all the time? And are you more combination skin? Do you find that sometimes you're oily and sometimes you're dry? I'm definitely combination. So that's more of a neutral type of skincare, and that's fine. So when talking about skincare, always ask them what they use, and then always suggest what our skincare is, because it is really, really great. Now, let's get back into the consultation. When we look at the actual products they're using, okay, you want to see what they're using. Because like I said, if they're only using a lip gloss and a mascara, then you know what you're starting off with. Ask them, okay, so if you wear this during the day, what do you wear at night? If you're going out, what type of products do you use? This will determine whether or not you're going to go with a subtle approach with subtle colors for a newbie, or for someone who is more experienced with makeup and absolutely loves makeup, then you pretty much have a full range of what types of colors and what types of products they want. For a newbie, I always give them the full regimen. I talk about not only skincare, I talk about primer, because if they want to go with a foundation, which most people always do, then I always suggest the primer needs to go with the foundation. I always suggest a concealer, and I always suggest a pressed powder and our brushes. Simple. If they want foundation, I always suggest these things. Okay, now we'll get into the colors and skin tones in a second. But if they're talking about eyeshadows and they're talking about other things, now you may have people that are going to be more in the neutrals. Okay, and that is fine, totally fine. If they're a neutral person, then talk about neutral products that we have. For instance, browns, those are neutrals. Okay, light colors, those are kind of neutrals, okay? I wouldn't go into the drastic colors unless you're talking about eye colors. And I'm gonna get into this right now. So when you're asking someone in regards to their makeup, okay, especially if they're more into pinks, if they're more into neutrals, if they love purples, you don't wanna shy away from that. That is what they're used to, okay? If they're used to those colors, ask them, or are there any other colors that you're interested in? And they said, well, let's talk about what you would suggest. And this is what I always suggest. I always look at their eye color. For green eye colors like my eye color, I know purples look great with them. And I will give you a hint and a way to do this. Go online and ask and look up and search engine in Google and say eyeshadow colors for certain eye colors. Okay, and you will see a selection. You will see, okay, blue eyes, browns usually look really good with it, even some coppers, okay? If you've got brown eyes, a lot of blues go with that, and different subtle colors. With greens, you know, there's purples and more neutrals. So there are different ways to determine that through Google. Very, very simple. And so if this person has gray eyes or whatever, you'll be able to see, okay, gray eyes, these color go with gray eyes. And what I do is pick either a color palette or I pick out pigments that will look great with that in that color scheme that Google said. Super simple, because your customers will say, okay, what color should I go with that go with my eye color? And you can easily go to Google, look this up. What types of eyeshadows go with these eye colors? I just can't get into these details. That's why I'm not talking about this in this video. I want you to be able to find these things on your own and be able and be capable to educate yourself. So my point to all this in regards to eyeshadows and eye colors is to gain trust with your customer. Trust and loyalty will come as you're doing these consultations, and I'll tell you why. Because you are looking for the customer's benefits. You're looking for their best interest. When you're asking them these questions, you will know, okay, this is what she's comfortable with wearing. These are the colors she's wearing. And when you give them these suggestions, they will come back to you because they think you are the expert. And guess what? You are. So these little things, by looking on Google and looking on YouTube and getting more educated on what different eye colors and skin tones and asking these questions to your customers, you will be better available, okay, to give them the best answers possible by asking the customers these questions. Okay, so if a customer only has certain palette of colors that they have, they might not be as comfortable to say, okay, let's go with the smoky eye, right? So go with what's comfortable with them. And if they're risk takers and they really love makeup, then go a step further. That's the difference. You may have newbies and you may have more experienced people with makeup, and that will make a difference in your consultation and what you suggest to them. Okay, so I also want to talk about, so we talked about color palettes and everything, and that's definitely another question. If we don't get into that specifically, then I always ask what color palettes they use in regards to eyeshadows, lipsticks, and everything along those lines. Like I said, are they into neutrals? Do they like bright colors? Then you can say, okay, you love bright colors, you wear this pink color? Well, we've got vein, we've got stinking rich lip color. We have lip bonbons if people only use chapstick. Do you understand where I'm getting with this? So consultations can be very, very useful. So like I said, ask for the skincare, ask what they have in their makeup right then and there, okay, with their cosmetics and everything. You're asking them what colors they use, ask them what type, when they use their makeup, during day, when they go to work, evening, what type of events they use them for or different occasions. Definitely ask them what colors they use. And then lastly, ask them what tools they use. I have so many customers that don't use tools. And tools can make a huge difference in your application, okay? So when we talk about brushes and we talk about our tools, they truly are some of the best, okay? I've used many different brushes in the past, and I absolutely adore these brushes. They are real hair. No harm has been done to any animal. They're rust proof. You know, we have synthetics for liquids. So I would love to tell everyone and educate everyone. Do not use real bristle brushes like the powder puff for liquid foundation, okay? It is not good for the brushes. They are screaming at you saying, I do not want liquid on me. Keep it for powders. Keep the liquid foundation brushes for liquid foundation. And my favorite tool as a makeup artist is the blending buds. I use it for everything, okay? So just a little hint. So when you're talking to your customers and you're asking them what tools they have, and have them show you what tools they have, if it's not a phone consultation or a messenger, ask them what they're using. Because 9 times out of 10, I also have people buy actual brushes. They do. Because they don't have anything to apply with it, and they find that what they're applying with is not giving them the best results. And it's often very true. Okay? So it can make a world of a difference. So let's get into foundations. Okay, so we were talking about colors and we were talking about eyeshadows. You know, ask them about blushes they use. Do they use a blush? Do they use a bronzer? You know, ask them, do they tan during the summer? These questions are very important. Why? Because if someone doesn't tan very often and they're pale, they may want a sun-kissed look without going in the sun. I'm a person that doesn't like to go in the sun. Truth be told, don't like it anymore. Used to love it. I used to be a sunbeds and tanning beds goddess, okay? But now I don't do that anymore. So these questions would be important to me because I may want to have a sun-kissed look during the winter months, okay? So for foundations, if they're specifically asking about foundations, this is what I ask. What is their skin type? What is their skin type, like I've said before, okay? Is it oily? Is it dry? Do you find it's combination? You know, they'll tell you how they feel that their skin is, okay? This also determines what type of foundation I will suggest, okay? BB cream is a light coverage. It's a beautiful coverage, and I can use that for any type of skin. People who are not really into foundation, this is the best type of foundation that I would actually suggest for my customers. Now, cream foundation, BB cream, and the liquid foundation are all excellent products. I use all of them, not all at the same time, but I do have days where I'm like, okay, I just want BB cream. Some days I want the cream. Sometimes I want the liquid foundation. For BB cream, you can use it for any type of person, any type of skin type. And if it's a person that really doesn't wear a lot of makeup, this is a perfect alternative and perfect suggestion. For someone who has oily skin, I would go with more of the liquid touch foundation, the one that is liquid to matte, okay? And for people who are more on the drier side, dry skin that always kind of maybe looks a little bit scaly, I would not use the liquid to matte foundation because liquid to matte means that it's going to dry like it's powder. And so on dry skin, it's going to look cakey. So what I always say for dry people, I always say cream foundation is great. And guess what? Cream foundation coverage is fantastic, okay? Liquid to matte, the liquid touch foundation is great also. So if someone's adamant to get the liquid touch foundation, definitely don't hinder them from getting it, okay? But if you're doing a consultation, and they have normally dry skin, think and be aware of what type of foundations is going to be best for them, okay? Again, foundation. Before foundation, I always say a customer needs to have primer. Always needs to have primer. Primer is the key. It acts as a barrier between your foundation. It makes it look flawless and also doesn't seep into your skin. Okay, so your makeup sits on top of it very, very nicely. Primer, always, always primer. Then we talk about the foundation. Now let's talk about the colors, okay? So when we're talking about colors and we're talking about all these things, a lot of people start freaking out because they don't know what to do. Now, at a home consultation, you will have your shade stick, you will have samples. I'll have all of my foundations in every single color. I always take them with me. If you're a unique presenter and you can grow your kit, I really highly suggest you do this. So I always look at the customer face-to-face, one-on-one, or even at home parties. I take the shade stick, or if I have all the color shades in product, I will always test it on their neck, never their face. Your face is always a different color than your body. You want to match up with your body. So with the shade stick, I'll give you a hint. Put punch holes, okay, in every single color, and that way you'll be able to see a circle in the middle of your shade stick, and you'll be better able to see what color will look best. Now, if you're doing it with the actual product, start testing the product, okay? Now, a better way to even do this and narrow it down is to look at their veins, okay? As a makeup artist, I'm able to pinpoint and know exactly what people look like and what skin tones they are. But for unique presenters, a great way people have been doing this has been looking at their veins. If your vein is a olive or a green, you're more than likely have yellow tones and are a warm color. If you're in between a green and blue vein, okay, and you're neither really yellow or pink, then you're a neutral. And then if you are usually a blue or purple vein, very, very dark, you know, purpley color, then you're going to, and you have a pink undertone, that means that you're a cool color, okay? And again, if you're looking at colors to go with skin tones like blushes and all those things, you can also look this up on Google. You know, warm colors look great with, you know, warms, peaches, oranges, corals. Cool colors look really good with rosy pinks, blues, purples. Okay, so these are different colors that will also go with them, and that's also in colors of clothes. Okay, it's true. So as we're talking about these things and talking about face-to-face consultations, you can either look at the veins and then you'll know what colors they are. There's also color charts. If you don't know what a color chart is, that will say, okay, scarlet is a neutral color. Organza is a cool color, and then velour is a warm color. You want to take a look at that chart. Your black status upline will probably have it, and so will your elites. You can easily look at it there, okay? So this is a way to determine what colors they are. Now, if you're doing it online through Skype or anything, or even on the phone, okay, I would ask that you get a picture in natural light, not in overexposed light right in front of the sun, no. In front of a window, okay, facing the window, not to the side, no, you know, no shade or anything like that, okay? No shadow. Look at it face to face and you'll be able to see, and also include their neckline. A lot of people just give face pictures. You need to look at the neckline also, because people's face, sometimes they have rosacea, which makes and turns it off a little bit. People will say that they're pink undertones, but they actually have rosacea, and then they have yellow undertones in their neck. Okay, so you want to take a look at their neck also, because you'll see that the colors are different and you want to match up according to the neck. And this is online. You can also do this in Messenger. So if you're asking them to take a picture, say, can you please have a little bit of your neckline? I'm not a creeper. I just need to see your neckline and your face. By asking them also about the vein colors, you'll be able to better determine whether or not, you know, they are certain colors. Ask them, you know, do you find yourself more on the fair side, medium side, or darker side? Okay, you'll be able to see. Some people are light but may look a little bit medium. Ask them, are you usually fair? Now, see, these are some of the other questions a lot of presenters are asking, and I want you to be very careful with these questions. Some questions will be like, do you tan very easily? and that's usually more warm people. But I will tell you where this is incorrect. I am a warm person, but I burn very easily. So that can throw off the questions that you're asking. So if you're going to be asking these questions, whether or not you burn easily, tanned people usually are warm colors. People who burn easily are usually cool colors, okay? And you'll be able to see that in your scheme. And the ones that are in between are neutrals. Now, like I said, I burn easily, so those types of questions wouldn't really apply to me. So you have to keep that as a variation, okay? That is going to be a variation whether or not you're going to really know what that person is. Now, also, people always ask, and I used to ask, well, I know by looking at it. I'm actually look better with gold jewelry because I'm a warm color, but I like to wear silver. So people have preferences on what color jewelry they like. So never ask them, okay, what colors do you like wearing? What looks best on you? Because they will not know. So if you're asking them, you know, or looking at them and they wear silvers or whatever and it looks good on them, then you will know more if they're actually a cool color or if they're a warm color. Silvers are more for cools and then golds are more for warm colored people, okay? Undertone people. And if they can wear both, that means that they're neutral. But like I said, these are variations, okay? So you don't always have to go by these questions because they don't always apply, especially when your customer doesn't know what they're doing, okay? So veins is the best bet, asking them what kind of complexion color they are, and then going off the color chart that goes around all over our Younique groups and so forth, and knowing exactly what colors go under what, okay? So that is for foundations. Now I'll also talk about BB cream, the cream foundations, and the liquid foundation, okay? At the end, when we're talking about foundations, no matter what foundation we're using, I always ask them if they have a pressed powder. I always finish every single look with a pressed powder as a set on top. You want to set the skin and your foundation so it doesn't feel like by the end of the day it's coming off. You really want to set any type of foundation on there. So you can use our pressed powders, or I even like to use our concealers, okay? Our mineral concealers can also be a translucent type of foundation. So I always talk about those things, and when I'm talking about the foundation, always ask them what type of tool they're using. You can then upsell to blending buds, liquid foundation, powder puff, anything along those lines, okay? So this is the basics that I do with a consultation. With a consultation face-to-face, sometimes I will even go into more detail where I'll actually put some of the different foundations on their skin, and then they can determine what type of foundation they would like. They can play with it, okay? And then when I'm done with my entire consultation, I will give them my suggestions. The suggestions can be very long, okay? And I will say, okay, these are the colors and lipsticks I would suggest, and I go by their answers. I go by their skin type, and I also go by some of the things that they normally would use. So I will always give them lip color suggestions. I will always give them lip glosses, lip liners, eyeliners. And this all depends on the person. So I will always give my suggestions, and then out of that, I will also put the top 3 things that they should be getting. Always the top 3 things. That consultation, I then put away, and I create a spreadsheet, or I put it in a duotang. And every time that customer comes back to me, I know the consultation I did with them. And then when they want more product, or when I write to them and they want more, then you can give them the other suggestions you gave them. So I hope consultations have been very useful for you. I know this was long, but I hope it's going to be a world of a difference in your consultations. Thanks everyone. Love you.